This is ASMR Reviews, and today I will be reviewing the great Marvin Gaye album, What's Going On. If you have not heard this, I highly recommend it. I chose this album in light of how this year has gone. I'm sure it has been rough for a lot of people, and this album is a very socially conscious album. So just a little bit of background. Marvin had been involved with Motown for a while now. He had a few studio albums, some solo and some were duets with other singers. Tammy Terrell and Diana Ross being two notable singers that he worked with. However, it is important to note that it was around this time that he had to stop working with Tammy Terrell because she was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and they had a really good relationship, and so that diagnosis really affected Marvin pretty heavily. And so if anyone knows how Motown was run, then you know that the artists didn't have a lot of control over their own music. It was ran as a car factory. And so, they would choose the songs, they had set songwriters, they had a set band and everything. Marvin was definitely a songwriter for Motown. However, when it came to his own music, he didn't necessarily get to choose how everything went. So in 1971, we get this album, What's Going On, and so this marks the first time that Motown allowed Marvin to completely control everything about a project. And this marks a shift in tone for Marvin Gaye. It's not about love or sex or anything like that. This is a very social album. It's a concept album, first and foremost. I feel this album works on maybe 2 or 3 different layers. So as a concept album, he's taking the perspective of a soldier who has just returned home from Vietnam. However, the album also works just as an inner monologue for Marvin. There are a few songs on here that he may be taking the perspective of a soldier, but I definitely think he is speaking from a place of experience. So starting out, the opening track is What's Going On, the title track. This is a classic song. That opening saxophone riff is synonymous with this song. This song sets the table for the rest of the album. It's all about just the soldier's first day back, and he's talking to his friends and lamenting over the state of the country and the world. In particular, race relations at that time. The second track, What's Happening, Brother, I would say he gets a little bit more into character. And this song is basically a conversation that he's having with someone, the soldier. Just trying to figure out the different things that had happened in his town while he was away at war. Musically, it's very similar to What's Going On, but it is a bit different. The song ends on a very somber note, and it transitions seamlessly into track 3, which is Flying High in the Friendly Sky, which is all about being addicted to heroin. This is the track that I feel Marvin begins to cross the line between him playing a character and him talking about his actual life, as Marvin did struggle with drugs. I believe both cocaine and heroin at different times. One thing to note, the song kind of starts with this sudden hit of a gong, and I feel like it's supposed to represent the sudden onset of withdrawal pains. The song is a bit slower, more of a ballad, and that continues with track 4, which is Save the Children. I should note that all of these tracks are transitioning seamlessly. There has not been a break in the music at all. Save the Children is, again, perhaps we can say he's speaking as a soldier, but I feel like this is really more how Marvin feels, and it's him talking to society and admonishing everyone to live in a way that allows the next generation to live better than we did. Track 6, which is the shortest track on this album, is God Is Love. It's like a praise gospel song, essentially. Him just thanking God and admonishing everyone to love their family and their neighbors. One thing to note also is that this tells a little bit of a story. So when you have track 3, Flying High in the Friendly Sky, that's him going through the withdrawal pain of drug addiction, and his path out of that is to turn his concern outward rather than inward. So the next track is Save the Children, which is him thinking about the next generation. And then the 5th track is God Is Love, which is him thanking God. And so we should note that God Is Love is very upbeat. It resembles the mood of what's going on and what's happening, brother, but it's a little bit happier. And I would say at this point, he's officially out of the dark place that was Flying High in the Friendly Sky. Save the Children is a bit of a continuation of that somber tone. God Is Love is a complete shift. That being said, Mercy, Mercy Me is not quite as happy. This is him thinking about the environment. This song is still relevant today. I think the whole album is relevant, but this song in particular, it's about everything that's happening now. A few rappers have referenced this track. In fact, there's a song called Mercy. It's like Kanye West, 2 Chainz, Pusha T as well. Now, Mercy in and of itself refers to the Lamborghini Murcielago. However, before that song, Kanye West had a line where he references Mercy, Mercy Me, and he says that Mercy, Mercy Me, that Murcielago. So it's a reference to the car, but it's also a reference to this song. The end of this track is also the first time that the music actually stops. Now, since this album was released on a record player, this is the end of side 1. So it has both a musical, artistic, and a practical reason. These 6 songs are definitely a set, and clearly he wrote it that way to fit side of a record. Side two only has 3 tracks, but it has 2 of the longest songs on the album. The track 7, or the first track of side 2, is Right On. 7 minutes 31 seconds, the longest song on the album. The song is like more of a party song. Stylistically speaking, I believe it is the most unique of any song on this album. I would say the song just equates being a partier and liking to have a good time. And the song positions that those people are good for society. It's good to be able to relax and party and to enjoy yourself peacefully. With the first side of this album, dealing with a lot of the issues facing our society, this song acts as a bit of an answer to that. If everyone can relax, view everyone as a neighbor, and dance, drink, have a good time with someone, then you can't hate them. There's a breakdown in the middle of the song where Marvin is singing love with different adjectives: sweet love, wonderful love, and I feel that sort of represents what he feels is communicated at these social gatherings. And everyone knows that Marvin was a bit of a party boy. Track 8, or track 2 on side 2, is Holy Holy, which is WHOLY. Marvin was raised in a very strict religious environment. I believe he was raised as a black Israelite. If you know anything about them, they can be a bit rough. And so, while he didn't live a pious life per se, he never forgot his religious roots. I remember hearing an interview where he said that he felt that he had a special connection with God, and he felt that God understood him and allowed him to live outside of the usual parameters of what is considered Christian living or righteous living. This song is I'll say it's the flip side of God is Love. God is Love is a praise to God. Holy Holy is a prayer to God for society, hoping that we all get back to a stronger religious basis. The song was covered by The Roots and John Legend. I believe the album was in 2008. It's called Get Up. They did a few covers of some classic protest songs, and they may have written a couple of new ones. I can't remember, but the song was on that album. And then the last track of the album, track 9, Inner City Blues. This song is pretty different stylistically as well. This is the album ends on a somber note, and it's almost like a field holler song. It's just about the issues facing lower income individuals, particularly black individuals who live in the city. We know that during this time there was a lot of segregation. There was a lot of really toxic gentrification, where they were taking area over and then move up, intentionally kind of push all the black people into a poor area and then vacate all the resources from that area. And so there's a lot of that going on during that time, and it still goes on today, but it was a bit more in the open back then. And the song is about that. When this ends, though, the song breaks down and it ends with a reprise of what's going on. It's piano and Marvin is singing very soulfully. At first it's out of tempo, and then a little bit of drums, percussion, and the classic saxophone returns from what's going on. And this track fades out with them repeating one of the sections of what's going on. This is important because this is the first album cycle ever that we know. Which is to say that an album that ends with some sort of a repeat of the first track, making a complete circle. Another thing to note, what's going on opens with a classic party sound bite. During the time that Marvin was depressed due to the diagnosis and the eventual loss of his friend Tammy Terrell, he took a break from music and tried to pursue football. Apparently he was a very skilled player, but due to his age, he was a bit too injury prone for it to be worth it. However, he became friends with some professional football players at the time. The voices you hear at the beginning of this album that are depicting the party scene were professional football players that Marvin Gaye had invited to the studio. It's pretty cool. I can't say more about this album. I can say a lot more. I can say a lot more about this album, but if you haven't listened to it, all I can say is do yourself a favor and do that. Front to back, no breaks at all. It's definitely an album that's meant to be listened to front to back in one sitting. I feel it is up there with all the classic albums, Dark Side of the Moon, Abbey Road, all those type of albums. I think it's right up there with it. Honestly, this might be my favorite album of all time. Obviously, that's always hard to say, but top 5 for sure. Another thing to note, in '01, there was a deluxe edition released that had maybe 40, 50 tracks. Some of the tracks that were on there were instrumental songs that Marvin never released. Some tracks were actual songs that had vocals on it, some were just instrumental. This is noteworthy because one of the instrumental tracks is called Mendota. This instrumental was used by the R&B star SZA during her EP, the one before Control. It's called C. The song is called Sweet November. It's a great song. And so yeah, it's SZA using a Marvin Gaye instrumental from this super deluxe edition. It's a really cool crossroads of time period and musical cultures. Highly recommend it. Alright, you guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you found this relaxing. I will see you soon.